Quick analysis of the shipping sector. I've narrowed it down to a handful of stocks right here. I've got 6 stocks. So if we look at this, we can try to rank them and get a sense of which is the best one to pick. We can look at the size of the market cap, and T&K comes up at the top of that list as being the lowest market cap. So it's the cheapest company versus EURN, which is the most expensive company. If we look at the number of shares, we're seeing again T&K is a small company, Scorpio Tankers is the second smallest, then DHT, then NAT, and again EURN, EuroNav, is by far the biggest player. Now when we look at yield, what we find out is, we want to look at the highest yielding stocks. DHT is the highest yielding stock, and then it's Frontline, FRO, then NAT, and then T&K is not giving any dividend. And then when we look at cash flow, we want to see who has the most cash flow. Scorpio has the most cash flow, and then DHT. So these two companies have positive cash flow, the other ones don't. When we look at earnings, what's interesting here is you see that Nordic has the worst earnings, but their stock is up the most. And so if we have a more speculative environment like we have right now, which you may find is that there's a lot of short positions in there, and the shorts are potentially getting squeezed. Now I've gone and run the analysis on the shorts, and Scorpio and DHT are 2 stocks that have the largest short positions. Performance-wise today, you can see Nordic is the top performer. It's broken out of its 52-week high. It was a low of $1.66. So this company has been drifting down for decades. They always pay a dividend, and they keep issuing new shares, so that you have a lot of float. So you worry about how many shares they have out in the market. And look at NAT. They've got 147 million shares out there, but their market cap is tiny. They've issued a lot of shares. What's interesting is T&K has very low share float, and so they could be more susceptible to a short squeeze, especially given that they have such a small market cap. But T&K, they have the tiniest short position in their stock. It would take less than half a day to cover all the shorts in their stock. Whereas the worst company with the biggest short position would be Scorpio, and it would take about 2.5 days to cover all the shorts in Scorpio. So that gives you a sense of what those are telling us. In terms of size, we want the smallest market cap, which would be T&K or NAT, and then we want to have the lowest price relative to the market. It's in a speculative environment, and that would be NAT or DHT. Short interest leans towards STNG, Scorpio, and DHT. Now the option implied volatility, if we're going to buy the options, ideally we want to find options that are cheapest. So the cheapest would be DHT and EURN if you're going to be buying options, hoping for a vol expansion. And we talked about the supply of shares would be T&K and STNG. And then, of course, the timing of earnings, Scorpio is first, then EURN, then DHT, then NAT, then FRO, then T&K. In terms of earnings, any options that you buy in there, you want to make sure that the options get you through earnings. So when they announce their results and give guidance, you should expect to see a big pop in there or a short squeeze. So we've done a couple of these already. If we look at the option markets, you can see which ones have huge volume in them as well. So if we were to look in here, what we did is we went ahead and bought a couple calls in DHT. That was ranked number 1. We went ahead and paid up. We got the 10 calls for 40 cents. They got as high as 60. We should expect to see a 50% jump in each of these stocks, especially the smaller ones. So expect this thing to hit 12. So we're looking to make 5 times our money on the 10 calls. And if we get a nice vol expansion pop in there, we could see an even bigger number. So that's DHT. Then the other one, which is a profitable company, is EuroNav. And we bought 17.5 calls for 15 cents. And we've not touched NAT or Scorpio yet. Now, Scorpio does not have the same kind of liquidity in here, but let me just show you what we're looking at. There's about 15,000 options that have traded in Scorpio EURN only 8,000. So I went in there because this stock has not really moved yet. It's still less than its 52-week high. I'm kind of picking a laggard here when I go into this one. FRO, Frontline, they have about 15,000 in options. DHT about 13,000. TK, Tankers, only 3,000. So there's not a lot of option activity. So if you go in here, you're going in here because you think you're early. You're thinking that the other people haven't looked at this one yet, and you're thinking that you can get in and get something cheap in there. But again, if you are, then you're looking at spending 40 cents. If you're looking to buy something that's way up at 35. But again, like I said, they should all pop 50%. And then look at Nordic. Nordic, 125,000 contracts traded. So basically everyone's punting on this one. This more than double than the rest of the stocks. The only suggestion I have is just be careful in here. If you're going to be buying options and speculating, be prepared to lose whatever you put in there. These stocks are going to be wild, and you need to be appreciative of the fact that they can go down just as much as they go up. So whatever you're going to bet on this one, make sure that you're only betting what you're ready to write off. Because remember, this stock has already moved. This stock was $1.50, and you're now looking at 7. So this thing has already gone up 5 times. So if you're going in now, what you're really hoping is to see this stock at 10 in the next 2 weeks. And if you're even if you hit 10, you need to see a vol expansion to be able to make money on these things. It may happen, but my recommendation is if you're going to gamble on this, don't buy any more than what you're ready to write off as a complete loss. And then when you see a big vol expansion in there, as soon as you're up 5 or 10 times, you should have limit orders in there ready to take profits. Because I suspect that when this does get really squeezed to the upside, I suspect it's all going to happen really fast. All right, so anyway, that's my view on it. Those are the 2 stocks that I'm in now. I went ahead in EURN and DHT, and I did DHT because that was ranked the highest across all of those for right now in terms of 7 different indicators that I'm looking at to kind of give me a sense of which ones will move the most. But as of today, NAT is the big mover on the day, and their implied volatilities are pretty high as well. Now, the good thing about NAT is because you do have so much speculation in there, which is even greater than the volume in the stock, the option market's actually going to drive pricing in this. So across those, given that we don't have huge short positions in any of these stocks relative to other industries, then the only area that I can see where we can get a major squeeze is from the option market. And the only one that's got major volume in it is NAT. So if you're looking for some really extreme moves in any one of these stocks, it's probably going to happen in NAT. But the question then is, you're getting in late. How much more can you make if this thing pops another 50%? And like I said, these are expensive, but if the thing really flies, then yeah, I guess there's more upside.